Speaking of public debuts, Beyond Meat has been one of the hottest IPOs this year, but one consumer group is warning that some of the chemicals found in fake meat products could stop your cravings cold. You might have seen their ads, in fact, on our air even. The group launching a full-fledged campaign warning these popular plant-based products could have traces of toxic chemicals, some of which have been linked to cancer. Joining us now is Breanne Kincaid, Research Director at the Center for Consumer Freedom. Breanne, great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me on.
What did you find and which products did you test?
Yeah, so we actually looked at the ingredient list of about 80 separate plant-based items. We found that broadly, these products are actually very highly processed. Some of them contain as many as 50 individual ingredients. Several of them are artificial. And one of our main concerns with these products is that people understand that processed food is perhaps not so good for you. But when you start calling it plant-based, people think that they're swapping out their beef burger for a vegetable, and that's absolutely not the case.
Which products specifically are you pointing to? Because you sort of made it clear that it's not specifically Beyond Meat, that there are worse offenders that are out there as options for consumers, and yet the ad makes it really look like it's Beyond Meat.
So Beyond Meat certainly has some items of concern. I would say that pea protein isolate, which is the bulk of their burger, it's not just peas that are ground up into the product. They go through a very heavy manufacturing process. And while we can't know the exact process because it's proprietary, there are other companies, usually ones that use soybeans, that through this process, it's called extrusion, in order to separate the protein from the fat, they'll run it through a solvent called hexane. Now, hexane is recognized by the federal government as a neurotoxin. It's thought to have impacts on reproductive health. And there have been studies recently in the last several years that consumer groups will actually go to grocery stores, pick these items off of the shelves, test the residual hexane in them, and find that the levels are actually higher than those allowed in the European Union.
Okay, and you guys point out that Morningstar, Gardena, these names might be familiar to our viewers out there, are the worst offenders when it comes to some of these chemicals existing in the products that aren't necessarily good for you. I'm wondering who conducted the study and who is it funded by? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out if you guys have an axe to grind with this industry.
Yeah, of course. So we actually started this campaign without any funding. The Center for Consumer Freedom typically takes on issues where we feel like consumers are being misled. So that's really what drove us to this. All of the research, I did most of it. I had some help. We typically just stuck to the nutrition labels, just the things that are easily accessible by consumers if they want to go and corroborate what we're telling them. But the bulk of our research really pointed to the idea that these products are processed and they're being marketed as though they weren't.
So you started this without any funding, and the presumption is that somewhere along the line you did get funding. Are you getting funding from the meat lobby, for instance, from publicly traded meat companies? I mean, who's backing you now?
So I can say that we don't publicly disclose our donors. I don't exactly know who's funding us. I'm not in the accounting department. I handle more of the research aspect of it. But regardless of the funders, the information that we put it out before we got any funding. All of the information still stands independent of anyone who's interested in it.
But someone is paying for those ads that are being plastered all over the air, even on CNBC.
So the ads, actually, everything that we've put out up until this point has actually been just us.
Okay. Breanne, thanks for sharing the results. We appreciate it.
Of course.
All right. By the way, we did reach out to Beyond Meat. They had no comment. They were in a quiet period ahead of their earnings, so no comment from Beyond Meat.
I'm so happy she's bringing this to light, and she's right. And we brought this up when the stock was a $50 stock, so it hasn't mattered in terms of shareholder interest.
Yeah.
With that said, I don't think people are eating this thinking it's some healthy substitute. I think they're eating it because it's just flat out a meat substitute. There is a distinction. I think it's an important one, though.
Why isn't every food company in the world able to create a meat substitute? I don't understand this. I really don't understand a multiple on something that Beyond Meat, yes, they have a trademark. They have intellectual property. They have a brand. They don't have a secret sauce. This isn't Coke's special formula. This isn't the secret sauce on the Big Mac. I mean, this is an alternative to a beef burger.
Right now. I mean, it's just an R&D factory, and they see this the total addressable market for. I'm not supporting it. I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's what you're investing in with a $10 billion market cap.
To Guy's point, I mean, if you think that people who are buying this and consuming these products are vegetarians or people who don't eat meat in the first place, then all of a sudden your total addressable market goes way down.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
Than if you're thinking that it's a healthy alternative to meat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a problem. I wouldn't eat it if I didn't think that it was healthy. I've ordered an Impossible Burger at a restaurant, and I did it because I thought it was healthy. So I think it's an issue. With shares up 150%, you actually have the lockup period for the initial IPO expiring in October. So you have these valuations. You have shareholders who initially held the stock who can now flood the market with shares. I don't like it at these levels at all.